Now, maybe you've all been asked that you're okay with the recording. I'm not sure. Did you get a message? Yep, because Zoom has updated security. So please do let me know if at any time you are not okay with the recording, because I won't put it up on YouTube if there is anything that you are worried about. So yeah, just keep me posted. But welcome along. It's great to have you all here. I'm just going to share my screen. So facilitator Zoom call number 13, level 2. Woo, excellent. So welcome along. I am assuming everyone is actually okay with muting, unmuting, video on and off, and using the chat box, because you have been typing into the chat box and letting us know what the weather is like. And most of you have put yourself on mute. Thank you very much for that. It's really good to have people on mute. And if, like Briar and others and Doug, bandwidth and internet is a bit of an issue, then yes, keep your video off. It does seem to help. So great to have you on the call though this morning. So today, what we wanted to cover, we'll do the usual rounds of introductions, so you get a chance to say hi to other facilitators on the call. But then we're going to spend a bit of time talking about level 2, what this means. So Brendan is going to take us through the RMPP, what we've come up with and kind of some of the reasons, and basically it's open for you to ask questions. What I'm going to get you to do is type questions into the chat box, at least to start with, so that we can tackle them after Brendan has given us a bit of an update. There's also going to be an official communication that'll go out to all primary contact farmers and facilitators, so just keep that in mind. We will be putting something in writing, but this is a good chance just to let you know. Then we wanted to spend a bit of time on the virtual facilitator forum. Some of you may remember that we had originally planned yesterday and today to have a facilitator forum here in Christchurch, face-to-face, a conference. But obviously that hasn't gone ahead, but we've been planning and drafting and redrafting the virtual facilitator forum, and we want to kind of go through that, basically the current draft of that, and get some feedback from you guys about what would actually work for you, just in terms of timings and those kinds of things, but also if you have any comments on the content that we've got planned, so that we can get a feel for what would actually be useful. Any other questions we'll cover as well. And then next week we've got Mark Elliott coming along to the call. Mark Elliott from UMR. He's going to talk about some of the results that he's got from doing interviews around the traps with some action group farmers, and so he's been involved in RMPP right from the start of the program. So it's really cool that not only can he talk about what he's hearing from Action Network, but he can kind of put that in the context of all of the work that's gone on. So I'm really looking forward to that, and it'll be interactive and workshopy and all of those kinds of things. So yeah, we'll see how we go. So I'm just going to stop sharing. If anyone does have anything else they wanted to add, please feel free to unmute and yell out, or drop something into the chat box. Okay, so no one's unmuting, excellent, and nothing in the chat box so far. So I'm going to just send you into the breakout rooms, and what I want you to do is introduce yourselves in the breakout rooms if you don't know each other, and maybe share something that's on your desk, and maybe something you're excited about with Action Network and your action groups. So yeah, just spend a couple of minutes, and then I'll mix you all up again for another round of introductions, just so that you get a chance to see who's on the call, and get a feel for who's on the call. So I'm going to create those rooms. Oh, Delwyn's just joined us. Hi, Delwyn. Lovely to have you, even though your name is Megan. I'm just going to, yeah.
I'll change that.
No worries. Oh, and Sarah, I'm going to just recreate the breakout rooms. Great to have you all on board. Hi, Sarah. Great to see you.
Hey, sorry I'm late.
No, all good. That's excellent. All right, excellent. I'm just going to open the rooms now, and so yeah, feel free, introduce yourselves, share something on your desk and something you're excited about with action groups. Be cool. So there we go. Hi, Richard. How are you?
Yeah, morning. Very well, thank you.
That's good. Great to have you along.
Cool. No,
Yeah.
no, these things, I'm finding these things very useful and, really, really telling me a lot of stuff that I need to know and I certainly don't know.
Oh, cool. Okay. Nice. Well, apologies, everyone is just in breakout rooms introducing themselves. So I'm just going to tell them to wrap things up and then I'm going to close the breakout rooms and bring them back. I'm going to do another round of introductions and send you into breakout rooms again, so you'll get the chance to meet a couple of people, Richard. So
Okay. Sorry I was late.
no, don't worry. It's great that you could make it along. So all good. I know what it's like, real life and everything. So it's all good. All right, I'm just going to close the rooms. What's it like up your way?
Very, very dry.
Oh, it's just awful. So bad.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah,
good.
COVID's not an issue, drought is.
Oh dear. Okay. Oh, that's not good. Oh, Meg was trying to join, but then she disappeared again.
Got a few on?
Yeah, we've got 24, 25 people.
Oh, wow. Good.
Yeah, it's great. So yeah. And next week we're going to have Mark Elliott from UMR talking. Yeah, so
I've seen that. I've looked at the videos.
Oh, cool. Excellent. Yeah, he's literally been filming them in his basement for us.
Yeah.
So it's quite cool.
Well, the man rates in my mind because he's got a picture of Colin Meads behind him.
Yes, several people have mentioned that. It's great. All right, everyone, welcome back. Great to have you back. We've had a couple of people. We've had Richard join us, Richard Lee, great to have you. So excellent. All right, we're going to do another quick round of introductions just so that you get a chance to talk to people. So I'm going to open all rooms again. So yeah, if you can introduce yourselves, talk about anything you're excited about, share something on your desk. And I'm going to assign you to, John, I'm going to assign you to breakout room 2. There you go, John. And Rach and Sarah, sorry, I'm going to stick you in breakout room 3. There we go. If you want to join that. Oh.
Oh, someone in the room.
That's right. Sorry, I don't know quite why it did that, but you're the only person in this room, and
Shona no mates, they call me.
that's really bad. So I'm going to flick you into one of the other rooms.
Okay. Well, I snuck out to check my bread before anyway.
Yes. Yeah. No. Fair enough too. So I'm just going to need to leave, and then I'll flick you into one of the other rooms. Okay.
Cool.
Cool.
See ya.
Yeah. Hi, Warwick.
Hello,
How are you?
I'm good. I just discovered this in my diary, and I'm just going to turn myself so I can see you're not seeing the side of my face.
It's all good.
So are we the only two on the call?
No, you've just missed out on the breakout room. So I've just done the usual introductions, getting people to introduce
Right.
themselves. So yeah, so they're all in breakout rooms. That's why you're kind of like, oh, hang on a minute, what? No, so
Cool.
you're all good. You're all good. They'll come back. We've got about 26 or 27 people on the call. So
Good.
yeah.
I had it in mind that it was about 10 o'clock, and then I looked at my diary, and oh no, it's not.
Yeah, no, and I knew that there was a few people already doing some Zoom practice sessions later this morning, some of the facilitators, so I didn't want to go over them, so I thought, oh, and also I wanted to, get the level 2 stuff out to everybody, so
Right,
thought, oh, well, we'll do it a bit earlier than normal, so.
So
But next week it's 10:30. So we basically have just done a bit of an intro. So we're going to do, Brenda's going to talk about level 2, what it means for action groups at the moment, and there'll be a communication that'll go out, but any questions will cover off all of that kind of stuff. And then we're going to talk through the virtual forum, the facilitator forum that we were going to have in person here in Christchurch yesterday and today originally, but so we've got a draft of what that looks like, and we're basically going to get some feedback from you guys on that.
Cool.
So that's what we'll cover. If there's any other questions, let me know.
No, it's all good.
Going
quite well. I've got my Te Puke group really quite enthusiastic about Zoom.
Oh, cool. Well done.
We've got Alan McDermott talking to them tonight about farm assurance programs, and we've got Tony Egan next week. So.
Oh, fantastic. Excellent. Good. That's real cool.
Looks like everyone's back.
It's right. You're not the only person on the call. Warwick joined in and he was a bit worried that he was the only person on the call, but it's okay. You're all in breakout rooms, so it's always a bit of a panic stations. Oh my goodness! But welcome back. Hopefully you've had a chance to say hi to people and get to know who's on the call. So I'm now going to hand over to Brendan to talk us through what RMPP is going to send out, the comms that we're going to send out about what level 2 means for us all. Just want to encourage you to type stuff into the chat box, and Dusty, can I get you to help me please monitor the chat box, and so between us we'll make sure that we cover any questions that come up. So Dusty and I will be looking at the chat box, and once Brendan's finished, we'll go through any questions that you've written into the chat box. So please use the chat box to do that. Brendan, over to you.
Thanks, Denise. And look, just to reiterate Denise's words, welcome along. For me, it seems to be that these have been really successful forums for facilitators to connect in, and it's great to see you all here again today. So thanks for turning up. Look, RMPP the whole way through this situation have been guided and followed the government guidelines and advice, really. And it's more of the same for us, and we'll continue to do that. As we all know, the announcement made on Monday gives the ability for us to resume some social activity and gatherings, albeit up to the size of 10. So that's going to be a potential obvious constraint for many groups. However, we have received interest by a number of groups to get meeting face to face. And we definitely understand that importance of the social connection in the rural sector. So look, we're supportive of that activities being run, but it's provided that they fall in line with those government guidelines that have been outlined. And just to quickly run through some of those, gatherings need to be in a controlled setting, no more than 10. And just on that, I appreciate that, and particularly when we've got farm team involvement, along with the facilitator and potentially an expert, that probably limits many for the moment. Activities are to be no longer than 2 hours, and the standard social distancing guidelines, i.e. 1 metre apart, and that there's good contact tracing in place so that recording attendees so that can be followed through if required. And some of the obvious, keeping up good hygiene practices, and probably stating the obvious, if anyone is sick or feeling unwell, yeah, stay away. We imagine, in line with government once again, they're going to be re-announcing, I think it's Monday, May the 25th, so we'll watch this space until then. But that's just to give you an overview of what we're following, which is probably not too unfamiliar to you. Just in a related sort of line though, we initially talked about the fact that we were extending activity available through until the 30th of September, through some even deeper unraveling of rules and conditions of a program such as this. We've actually managed to squeeze out another month. So we're now working towards the last activity being the 31st of October. So let's hope that that sort of addresses the lull of this period we've been through and help continue that momentum. And I guess also stating the obvious here is, you know, we've been quite heartened actually by the participation, as I said, at these sessions, but also the fact that a number of facilitators reporting back that they are connecting in with their groups in an online way, and that's been well received, and lots of learning going on for all, and just, I guess, challenge ourselves to be looking forward, how can we incorporate that or blend that in moving forward. So between now and the 25th of May, when we learn more, and into the future. So also, just to wrap this up, I guess, as Denise alluded to, we will be sending a communications out today that will hit your inbox, just to wrap it up. But I'll put it back to you, Denise, and facilitate any of those questions.
Cool. So yeah, the 2-hour time limit, a couple of people are commenting on that. Do we know whether that's something that's just until the next announcement, like that's the kind of with the 10-person limit, or do you know, Brendan?
So I don't actually have an answer for that, to know it, and just basically following the guides that we've been given in front of us. So we can certainly explore that and understand more around that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll follow up on that. Yeah, I do imagine that it's kind of trying to tighten things at this level. So we'll follow up on that 2-hour thing. Delwyn wants to know if we'll send out an email confirming the new date of the 31st of October.
Yeah, that'll be wrapped up in this communication that's going out today, just to re-clarify that, and we will also communicate further around that.
Yeah.
Along the way.
Yeah, I guess we're hoping that the announcement on the 25th will lift some of these things, but we'll have to just see how that goes. Melissa, you've said these would not have been social, but more a work thing. Sorry, can you unmute and
Yeah, because it's not a social gathering, and this is MPI funding for groups of farmers. I would have thought this would be more classified as, you know, more of an essential service than just a social gathering. So I don't know whether that's something that needs to be questioned back, Brendan.
Yeah, we can take that question back.
Thanks.
Yep, no, good point. I suspect they're still going to be tight on the gathering limit and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So for now, and yeah, so Warwick, yeah, absolutely. I think they'll revisit that person limit, group gathering limit, but depends on how long we're in level 2 for. I guess we were kind of hoping that the original level 2, when we before lockdown, there was a limit on gatherings, but it was 100 or less. So, but they've obviously changed that going into level 2.
I think the thing with all of this, you know, we can all interpret how we like into what we've presented, but listening to what, as we've sort of gone through this, and the people that we're guided by as well internally, is, I think that, you know, that the 100 gathering is the intention of level 2, and I think what they're doing is taking a staged approach. They've Prime Minister's talked about allowing them a week or two to get their heads around the data from level 3, just to give them the confidence to move to that 100 limit. So it seems to be have followed a pretty consistent theme that I imagine it would open up, provided that data tells us the right things.
Yeah, no, that's good. If there is any other questions, please keep jotting them down into the chat box, and we will make sure that when I email out notes and everything after this meeting, we'll cover those, and make sure that the comms that's about to go out later today will cover these things off as well. So.
Actually, Denise, I guess one other point worth considering is with all of this, it's about also checking in with the farmers that they're comfortable to be meeting, and I'm sure you guys have got that well in hand, but probably worth noting.
Yeah, that is a good point. We know.
Yeah, there's just one more question there. Did we cover about the 31st of October that Darwin asked up there?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we'll put that in the comms. So cool. Yeah, it's a good point, Sarah. Some people do travel quite a bit, and you kind of want to have a reasonable length of time for people to meet. So cool. All right, we will get back to you on that. It is, as far as we understand it, what's on the guidelines from the Ministry of Health, so we'll work on that. If you do have any other questions, please just get in touch. Ben and Dusty are on the phones. We're an email away, a phone call away, so please just keep asking and keep checking with us, and we'll keep trying to update you on that. No other questions there at the moment. What we're going to now do is move into the facilitator forum. So wanted to spend the rest of the call getting some feedback, going through the facilitator forum and getting some feedback on that. Now I'm trying to find my window. Here we go. All right, so I'm sharing a Google Docs with you, and I'm just going to very quickly send you the link. So if you are happy clicking on the link that's in the chat box, if you wanted to open it up and follow along, feel free to do that. But basically, we wanted to go through our current thinking with the facilitator forum. Actually, I'm going to, yep, so a few people have jumped in there. So actually, I'm going to stop, because what I wanted to do was actually use the whiteboard as a bit of an example of using the whiteboard. So jump into the, no worries, Briar, great to see you. So thanks for joining us. So basically what we're kind of thinking with the facilitator forum is that we would get people to make a short video for us. So there'd be a video that would go out the week before that would be the expert or the keynote or whoever we're thinking. And if you've gone into the Google Docs, you'll see the different people that we're thinking about, and I'll go through that shortly. We'd have a really quick debrief on that, if you can, my dodgy spelling. And then we would basically, the focus would be on a 90-minute workshop during the week following the release of the video, so that we went like this kind of thing, and we ended up being able to with the expert. So this 90-minute workshop would include the expert in inverted commas. It would be conversations, discussion basically to draw on everybody's experience and add questions. So draw on experiences, questions of the experts, and basically have a really good discussion of the topic. So that's kind of what we're thinking at the moment, but we're really keen to get some feedback on what you think of that process. And if I stop screen sharing that and jump back into the Google Docs, if anyone's there, you can see the kind of speakers that we're thinking of. So a session on the future of extension in our sector and beyond. So we've got John James lined up, and we're trying to work on Ruth Nettle. So I still need to get in touch with her. She was on our list originally, but she wasn't able to do it because face-to-face because of her travel commitments and different things. But obviously that's changed. So we'll see whether we can get Ruth. Facilitation lessons from sport and the way that they've implemented strategy and developing coaches. What can we learn from that? So Hugh Galvin, he's helped us out with some of the deer industry facilitator training that we've done. So yeah, he's really good thinker, lots of experience in this space. So that would be really cool to hear from. Getting Mark Elliott along to talk about the high performing farmer research. He's doing an update of that, as well as there's lots of stuff that Mark could talk about, but we thought particularly the high performing farmer one. I've been talking with Simon Sankey from Dairy NZ about managing the life cycle of a farmer group. Obviously, the dairy guys have had lots of experiences with this, and so it was worth kind of tapping into what Simon and his team and what they do in dairy. So let's learn from what they've got. Cultivating communities of practice. So Lab and Mary do a whole lot of work in this space, and they've got some really good experiences and thoughts to share. So we thought, hey, let's explore that and see what that looks like, how we can grow and learn from each other. Mental health challenges. We've been talking to Sarah Barr about doing a session around that, and then some kind of workshop, maybe earlier, maybe later, around what we've actually learned from Action Network, what will we do going forward. So the idea is that we would build on what we're doing with this facilitator Zoom call, and our thinking at the moment is we'd space these out and release like one a week. But we're keen to get some feedback on that. So I'm going to stop there because I've got basically in the Google Docs, there's 3 questions there, some initial reactions, some thoughts on timing, concentrate. Do we want it concentrated or spread out like these calls? And any thoughts on the content that I've got there. But I wanted to stop and just check if anyone had any clarifying questions, anything that's a bit confusing they wanted to check on before we go into small breakout groups and you do some brainstorming and debriefing around those questions. So type into the chat box or feel free to unmute if you'd like to and ask a question.
Denise, just what's the time? So is this over a period of time for the webinar? How's that going to work as far as timing?
Yeah, so the idea was that we'd kind of do it, well, our current thinking, but we want feedback, is we'd do it weekly. I can't spell, I can't write on a whiteboard and spell at the same time. So we'd do a weekly kind of process of this. We'd release a video the week before, have a little debrief, and then do the 90-minute workshop with the expert and whoever wants to come along. So similar to these calls basically, but there'd just be a little bit more prep with watching the video beforehand. Yeah, if that makes sense. But we're keen on your feedback. Would you like to keep doing something like this and have a schedule? Because these have been very ad hoc and kind of been, hey, let's quickly upskill on particular bits and pieces or hear from people. This would be much more structured and, hey, this is the program for the next 2 months or something.
Denise, would the video debrief and the 90-minute workshop, would they occur in the same video conference or Zoom call, or would they be separate?
So at the moment we've got the debrief separate, and it would just be 30 minutes. And we were thinking that maybe that would be at the start of the week. So this would be 30 minutes, but that's something we're keen on feedback. So initially, some initial feedback we got was that that's actually too much for people. That would be a lot of time for people to have to find. So it may be that we made it 2 hours and did a little bit more in the workshop. So we're keen for feedback on that.
Denise, I think it's going to be hard when we do get busy with our Action Network groups, because I think that funding window between now and the 31st October is going to go really quickly. I think it would be better to have it scheduled quite far in advance so that you know on that day you need to be in.
Yeah.
And maybe for me personally, the 2 hour would work better than a series of different meetings over a week, because essentially it would mean that I couldn't go out on farm for a day because of a 30-minute debrief potentially.
Yep.
That's my personal.
Yeah, no, that's great, and that's the kind of stuff we want to hear. So yeah, cool. Well, let's get into it then, because what I want to do is basically send you off into breakout rooms again. I want you to appoint a scribe in each group, and whoever the scribe is, they need to be comfortable going into that Google Docs that I shared with you in the chat box, and a few of you are already there, so I know you've found it, but yell out if you're having trouble, and talk about your initial reactions, jot them down, whoever's scribing, if you could type them into the Google Docs. Any feedback on the timing, just like you've said, Michelle, actually, look, it wouldn't work to space it out. Let's just, release a video. I'm happy to watch a video, but then 2 hours once a week, or actually, no, we need to squeeze it into an hour and a half, because that's all I'd like. Think about the time of day as well, and when in the week, if you want, if that was a preference. So would you like it first thing on Monday, last thing on Friday, that kind of stuff. And any comments about the content that we've got there, that this is kind of our thoughts and feedback from some of you about what would be helpful in terms of content. So yeah, if you can appoint a scribe, jump into the Google Docs, have a chat about those 3 questions, and give me a yell if you've got any questions. In a breakout room, you can always ask for help, and I will come around. So
just before we go, Denise, how many weeks is it going to be over, are we thinking?
It would be over 2 months if we were to do it like that. So
right.
yeah.
Cool.
Oh, here we are. We got Denise.
Yep.
Sorry. So it's just me. So sorry, Denise. I might be quite different because I've got quite a busy day job as well. So my RMPP meetings, I do have 5 groups that are very interested in getting as much in as they can before the funding runs out, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah. Well, which is absolutely fair.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think in June, July, August, September, October, 5 months, I'm anticipating between 15 and 20 meetings. So for me, to have potentially 2 different meetings a week would mean that I've only really got 3 days to go out and try and get those meetings done.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, that's absolutely fair, and that's the kind of feedback we were after, because we're kind of going, hey, this is the ideal and what we think would be really cool, but it's not much use if no one turns up, because it can't work like that.
Yeah, and the time frame, I think from what I know, people kind of switch off after an hour and a half, but I do understand that goes really, really quickly. So you wouldn't want to lose the value either. That there probably need to be a balance there. So the debrief would be on just to understand what the debrief would include. What you watch the video and then we come together and discuss, or what?
Go for it, Lab. Talk about
the idea of the debrief is that we can watch the video either just before we do the debrief, or we can send it out, send people out a link beforehand so they can watch it at their own pace. About 20 minutes of a presentation from the keynote speaker, and then the debrief is just the immediate reaction, and to have some peer interaction and conversations about what does this actually mean, so that you get the benefit of other people's perspectives, other people's ideas. you know, I heard this. Oh, that's interesting because I didn't hear that. I heard this because we all hear something different. And so just to cement the immediate kind of response and help everybody to kind of make their own meaning from it and draw their own conclusions. And then the deep dive, which is the bigger workshop, is where you know, if you really want to dig down into it, we start going and exploring some specific kind of areas of the topic.
I can understand then that debrief would be quite hard to do if it was a week after the video was sent out, then maybe.
Yeah, it'd be better if it was you know, the same. But what we've learned is that you know, 20 minutes watching a video and then interacting is quite difficult. We've kind of tried it.
Okay.
So we thought, well, if we let people watch the video at their leisure, we might only send it out 24 hours before the debrief, and then have that debrief just to cement it, and maybe make the deep dive on it kind of optional. So we want smaller groups for that. So we'd maybe run the deep dive workshops twice, so that people could get a choice on when they attended it. And
that might help with the process then. If there's two options for the same, that might help my situation.
Yes. Yeah, and that's what we were thinking. Yeah, it wouldn't be if you can't make it at this time. Yeah,
that's fine then. If you've clarified that, then I'm not going to be out facilitating 5 days a week. So there'll be a couple of the follow-up tasks from that would be horrendous. Yeah, no, that's fine. There's something else.
Would you devote a day to it? Would you say, okay, I'm gonna block out a day or a day and a half, and we'll do 3 of the speakers, maybe 2 one day and 1 the next?
Yep, I could do that. I could do that personally. Yeah, my normal hours are tricky. I normally work till 2:30, but with notice I can shuffle and get my kids picked up and things like that. So that's fine. That's why I missed some of all the afternoon ones, Denise, because at 3 I'm actually physically picking up the kids.
No,
before or after I'd probably be right.
Yeah. And that's something we also need to think about, is because there's a lot of people in that boat that they have kids to pick up, you know, especially some of the facilitators in some of the really rural areas too. So you've got to meet the bus and all of that kind of stuff.
Well, even an evening. I mean, it might be different actually. Well, it will be different once lockdown ends. I'm so used to being available in the evenings. Yeah,
I know.
it probably will change.
Yeah. No, actually, that's a good point. So maybe consider evenings. I don't know whether people.
Yeah, probably.
You're scribing for me.
Yeah.
I thought I'd volunteer to be the scribe because I'm part of the organising committee.
Thank you.
I don't know. That's probably all I can really give. Has that been at all useful?
Yes,
absolutely. Yeah.
No, it's really good. What I might do, and apologies, I have, for some reason, breakout room 7 is a problem for me today. I've recreated the breakout rooms each time, and last time I did it, Shona ended up by herself in breakout room.
Oh, I thought I was by myself too, but Lab kindly joined.
No, that's fair. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and I'm going to move you into another breakout room. So would you like to go into different breakout rooms or the same one together? What would you prefer?
Oh, we should probably split up, Lab, should we? We've been together before.
Yeah, I can get, okay, yeah, okay. I can go somewhere else.
Alrighty, cool. I will,
Good luck.
just send you somewhere else. So I'll just find my leave button. That's the next question. Here we go, leave. So yeah, you'll just get a message to say you're joining another room. Cool. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Oh, hello. Sorry, I'm on mute.
Oh, we're coming back. We just thought we'd get back.
Yeah. No, well done. That's good. Everyone's coming back. Brilliant. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you. It's great to see. Thank you so much. There's really good feedback in the Google Docs. So if I just briefly share that, we've got some really good initial reactions, just saying, yeah, there is a bit of work, but there's some positive comments there. Yeah, so and the idea was that you can pick and choose, and hopefully that most of them would be attractive, but yeah, you don't have to be there for all of them, kind of thing, just like these. Thoughts on timing, lots of thoughts there. Yeah, we're going to need to keep working on that. And I'd love to be able to supply chocolate, whoever wrote that, so good work.
Look, Denise, just for you.
Oh, wow, Melinda, thank you. Dark Ghana, yum, the best. Very good. And then, yes, I think talking about the order, we've had a couple of people say, hey, why have the Action Network workshop towards the end? Maybe bring that up, and we could talk about some of the evaluation work like Mark and others that are doing. We've found, plus also facilitators and farmers talking about what we've found, and build that into what could it look like going forward, that you could take back to your groups as well. So yeah. Anything you particularly anyone wanted to unmute and add on that? No?
Could I just ask a question, Denise?
Go, Lab.
Well, I've got two questions actually. One, if anyone has been to a Zoom session with 50 to 100 people in it, I'd like to hear about how that was, how the experience was, and any tips about running it, a group that big. But also how, a conference is a place normally where you go to and you go and listen to speakers and you talk to other people and you go for coffee and you duck off somewhere for lunch, or you go for a walk around the gardens or whatever it is, and you're interacting with people all the time. So I've just had this thought overnight, one of those shower moments, that if we could create some random meetings online where people just, between the sessions, just happen to bump into people, and I don't know, it's just a thought. Just try and recreate a little bit of that. So any ideas on that, we'd love them.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So feel free to email Lab or put something in the chat box now if there's something, or yeah, talk to us basically about that. Yeah.
As long as there's no virtual food for lunch.
I love it. Yep.
I think it's BYO, Michelle.
Yeah.
You can drink wine if you want.
Yep. Sarah says a 5 p.m. happy hour with a drink could be fun. Absolutely. And John's rightly pointing out we only have 24 hours in a day, and there's lots of other things to do. And I think that's absolutely fair. We have to be pretty effective with our time too. So yeah, no, good point. So yeah, please, like Sarah's idea, perhaps local groups of people could meet up for the calls. Yeah, absolutely. So you could then dial in together. Yeah, I like that idea. If people are interested in that, that would be possible. Cool. I'm going to send you the link to the Google Doc. So if you do keep on having some further ideas, please feel free to keep adding feedback in. And yeah, so that would be good. And Donna's saying the breakout sessions are a bit like this. Yep, they've been good to meet other facilitators. Absolutely. And that was, even though we'd have expert speakers, or however you want to say, I'm kind of doing the, whatever you call those, I've completely lost my words, but you know what I mean. And it is really about trying to get experiences and knowledge from in the room, from you guys. And that's what these forums have been all about. And we still would be trying to do that. It would be adding to whatever the speaker was talking about with the experiences from you guys, because you've all been trying some really cool things. Yeah, and absolutely. You could, Warwick, get participants to set up breakout sessions where they could go off with a selected group and follow up on stuff. Absolutely, great ideas. I thought we'd just finish with a couple of poll questions. And again, not going to hold you to these, but in addition to the feedback, I thought there's a couple of specific questions that would be good to get your feedback on. So I'm just going to launch the first poll. And this is, you would prefer a virtual forum with workshops or events held once a week over a few weeks, or workshops all held over a couple of days, a launch held over a day, then spread out, other combination, or not interested. And it's absolutely okay because it's anonymous to respond to any of those things. So if it's up in front of you, if you can have a vote on this, just to get a bit of a feel for what people would like. So you should be able to click on the preference. I will follow up with people who said other combinations, so it'd be great to hear from other people about different combinations too. So, all right, I can see 20 of the 26 of you have voted. So if there's a couple more people, I'm going to close the poll very shortly. 22. Any last people that want to have a vote? And then I'm going to close the poll and launch it and show you what you've said. All right, 23 of you have voted. All right, I'm going to end the polling now and share results. So it seems that you do like the spread out. Many of you like that. A few preferences, although also that launch held over a day and then spread out over weeks. So that's cool. Excellent, thank you for that. All right, I'm going to relaunch the polling. Oh, no, cancel. Stop share results. Now I should be able to do polling too. So the second question that I just wanted your quick response to was, this was about timing, really. Early in the day at the start of the week, late in the day at the start of the week, end of week, early or late in the day, middle of the week, anytime. Again, not that keen. So again, it's anonymous, so please just your initial reactions would be great. And I'm liking the comments in the chat box too, so please keep them coming. Some breakout dating happy hour where you have 10 minutes and swap breakout rooms. That's really good. Yeah, because it is about the social interaction and who you meet and the ideas that they bring. So, okay, I can see 18 of you have voted. Yeah, no, absolutely, Wayne. More than 3 to 4 hours, like it's a long time online. It really is, isn't it? And you get tired very quickly. And you've got other things to do. All right, 22 of you have voted. Anyone else wants to vote? 24 of you. I'm going to close the poll shortly and end the polling. Okay, I'm going to close it and share results. So you can see that a lot of people are saying early in the day at the start of the week, and few people are saying anytime or early in the day at the end of the week. So yeah, thank you for that. I think what we'll do is we'll offer them at a couple of different times. So you know, if we run a weekly thing, we'd offer them at a couple of different times. And yet people are saying 2 hours max. Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, well, thank you very much for that. It's awesome. Any last questions or comments from anyone? Feel free to unmute and jump in, or, oh, yep, no worries, Tony. All good. Great to have you on board. We're coming to the end of the call. If there is any other questions, though, please feel free to unmute and yell out or write into the chat box. I'm going to stay online for a little bit afterwards, so if there is a question that you wanted to ask, please feel free to stay on the line and ask. Brendan and RMPP team maybe stay on for a few more minutes if you don't mind. Cool. Well, otherwise, we're coming up for 9:30. We said an hour. We're going to finish. So thank you so much, people. Really appreciate your time and your feedback. Really, it's so valuable getting feedback from you guys, because you're the ones that we're doing this for, and you're doing awesome work with the action groups and out there in the community. So really appreciate that. Thank you. Keep it up. Next week we're back to a 10:30 slot next Thursday, and Mark Elliott is going to be joining us from UMR to talk through the evaluation results that he's been finding from action groups. So yeah, hopefully you can join us for that. It'll be interactive still. Mark will be doing a little bit of sharing, a little bit of talking, but there'll still be lots of interaction. So yeah.
Just before everyone goes,
Oh
I
yes,
was just
sorry,
gonna.
Ben.
I was
Sorry,
just gonna,
Ben.
while we've got everyone here, I thought it'd be a good opportunity just to share a little bit of what we've been up to with the taking ownership of your financials online. So we sort of had some pilot runs at it at the end of last month and the start of this month, run by Lawrence Field. So he's sort of an independent presenter, accountant that runs those workshops. So if I can share my screen, I'll just show you a little bit of how we sort of set it out. Can everyone see that one? Thumbs up.
Yep.
Cool. So a lot of you guys will know what taking ownership of your financials is, but this is pretty much the purpose of it. Pretty much, if your groups are having trouble with working out the KPIs for the action plans, and this is a really good one for that, and just generally understanding your financial statements. So this one, usually it's done over an afternoon session, quite a long afternoon session by the sound of it. And so we've decided to split it up into 3 evening sessions over sort of 1.5 hours. So this is sort of what Lawrence put together. So module 1, just a bit of introductions, get to know each other, and just say where you're from and stuff like that. KPI and benchmarking, intro to financial statements, livestock trading, and then module 2 was obviously the second night. Look into a bit more of the FOE ratio and EBITDA using Excel templates. And there was a bit of homework to do each night. So guys went away, and then they'd come back with doing a little bit of homework. Their lunch would set them, and then come back refreshed the next day, ready to crack into it again. So yeah, if I just stop sharing there now. So it was really cool. We had a lot of positive feedback from farmers. There was a little bit of skepticism at the start, because it's quite an interactive workshop, whether it was going to work, but that really built throughout the 3 nights. And there was a few comments at the end saying that, some farmers were saying that, they actually preferred this sort of online forum over 3 nights. They could sit down at the end of the day and get into the sort of the nitty gritties of their financials. So pretty much from here, we just need to sort of gauge a bit more of the demand for it. Obviously, the taking ownership of your financial team aren't going to be doing any in-person ones at the moment, just with the restrictions, the government regulations. So it could be a really good opportunity to do a bit more of these online ones if you guys are keen. And I guess especially it could work for facilitators that have got groups, more than 1 or 2 groups, and you might have a few people from each group that are keen. But it's good. I think it would only really work if you had 1 facilitator for those groups, because the facilitator would know those people, and you can sort of introduce everyone and play more of a facilitation role. I think it'd be a wee bit difficult if you had groups, with different facilitators, because the facilitator wouldn't know the members. So yeah, just something I thought I'd bring up just to show what we've been doing, and just to gain a bit of interest to see what group might be interested in. If there was interest, just register it with Dustin or I, and then we can put it forward to David Jefford, who's sort of the taking ownership of your financials man, and also Alicia Carroll. So yeah, but just any questions, get in touch with Dustin or I. That'd be good. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Ben. And apologies, I wrote you down on my run sheet and then got completely carried away and forgot to invite you. So thank you for jumping in. That's
no worries.
Awesome. Yeah, so online, there are options online, particularly for those of you with newish groups. That's a really good workshop, but even a refresher, please get in touch. So yeah, but we are going to call it there. Thank you for coming along. Great to have you. Enjoy the rest of your day and hope to see you next week. So yep, and we've got a couple of questions, so yeah, feel free to head off. Thanks, John. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Warwick. Cool. Thanks, Lab. Good to see you, Melissa. Thanks for sharing chocolate virtually. Thanks, Richard. Some people from groups who've still already done, but still struggling. Yeah, it's a good thought. So maybe we could follow up, Julia. Yeah, you're still on, Julia. Thanks, Donna.
Julia, there is the opportunity for David to potentially organise a refresher session for a group. So,
quick refresher, like, you know, some people in the group have, like, the whole group don't want to do it again. But there must be like a couple within a group that still haven't done it. Maybe they could just have a like quick 1 hour refresher to get them through it or something.
Yeah, we were talking about this the other day, and actually yesterday, weren't we? And yeah, I think get in contact with us, and we'll get in contact with David, and there's potential for them to maybe have a refresher session, but obviously we'd have to organise it with one of our partner bankers to run it, or someone like Lawrence Field or something like that. But yeah, Brendan might be able to give you a better answer in terms of.
Oh, I'd add to that is, yeah, absolutely want to put that in place, Julie, for these types of situations. And I'd just would make some sort of sense potentially to have continuity with the person that delivered it in the first place to follow up with that support, so they've got a common understanding there.
Yeah.
Was that done with a banker, Julia, or was that done with Lawrence or Fraser McKenzie?
I've had Lawrence and Fraser.
Right. Okay.
Both my groups have done that with Lawrence, but the thing that a couple of the people in my group struggled with is that they're of that younger denomination and they don't have any control over the financials, so they didn't have financial information to work with. So they need to come back and go through the book and do the sample one, and that is, I've got 3 or 4 people out of my 2 groups that haven't put their KPIs in, and that is why. So a refresher course just to do something like that would be actually really good. With Lawrence would be my preference, but yeah.
So that's sort of just, you're saying 2 or 3 members of your group there, Darwin?
Over the 2 groups, yeah.
Right.
So,
okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I'd be quite interested to get them involved in something like that.
Cool.
Awesome. Any other questions? Donna, Rob, Sarah, Simon?
I was just going to, I'll just wade in with the, Lawrence is great with those, know your financial workshops. And I have had both Lawrence and somebody else doing it. And the other people were quite good. They were involved with the local bank, but they just weren't the same as Lawrence in terms of the delivery. Which is just, I guess that's just feedback. But what it has meant is that we've been wanting to do a little bit more benchmarking. Or the group's been quite keen for, and I guess I ended up taking over that role of kind of looking at stretching the farm financials and some of the performance KPIs and just taking them a little bit further. And both the groups, or there's two groups that I'm with there that really want to carry that on. And I don't know, there's quite a bit of work involved in kind of doing that, I guess. So it's going to be interesting going forward. It's a pity we didn't get to this point, at about sort of month 3, sort of the final hour, and we've got this sort of momentum going, and we don't know how that's going to be funded going forward. So, is there any thoughts, I guess, from RMPP about how that might work going forward, or is it just up for the groups to do it?
Yeah, I can talk to that, Simon. And thanks for the feedback. It's really good and good to hear that. And to your point about, wouldn't it have been nice to have started earlier? And I'd just say, wouldn't it have been nice to have been able to get some agreement on what the KPIs were? Then we would have been able to. So that was probably one of the toughest things that RMPP dealt with, I think, was getting common agreement on what the KPIs were and how they're calculated. But that aside, look, another thing that might help you potentially is taking ownership of your financials. We put in place as a real basic, let's use the word base 101 sort of level introduction to it. Beef and Lamb have got a program as well, which I think they call Yardstick, somewhere along the lines, which picks up on a lot of this and actually is a program that you can take to the next level. So that's been initiated by Mark Harris, who's Upper East Coast North Island Extension Manager, the lead Extension Manager. Getting in touch with them could be helpful, and we're happy to make that happen for you. Beyond the program, in terms of taking ownership of your financials itself, so we're just currently exploring, as Ben's alluded to, how we dealt with that in this current time, but actually how could we take that to a self-driven online or a hybrid mix of both that we can transition for future.
Thanks for that.
I just to add to that, I think people like banks and accountants have got probably a vested interest to potentially look into this and pick it up, and how they can actually apply it to support farmers and add value to farmers in their general interactions as well.
Yes, we did use Rabobank to try and do that with one of the groups, and it worked okay. But I still think the real benefit of doing it with the group is the conversations you have around connecting the financials to what the management was in the farm, and that's that requires. I think it's the group format and the facilitation that allows those conversations to happen. And I don't know that any tools that you put in place are ever going to make up for having the group discussion and getting that feedback and that learning around the group. Yeah. So but you need both. You need to capture the right information and then have the group in place to do it. And it takes so long for that to kind of get to a point where you're ready to go and you're ready to roll forward with momentum. And I just think it's a real shame that we're kind of going to leave the groups be, in another month or two, which is, because I don't know that any tools that we've got currently are going to help as we go forward. I think they're all good, but you
need the next iteration of them, kind of thing. Yeah.
Totally agree, Simon, with everything you're saying there. And sorry, when I said sort of hybrid, that's probably what I was alluding to, that it is probably a mix of both, which is really going to make it happen. And then to your point around leaving groups shortly, I hope that we don't, and we actually challenge ourselves to think about how do we actually make sure that this continues as part of general practice of supporting farmers and encouraging farmers to be part of it. So, that's part of the reason why and I appreciate you involved in the earlier part of the conversation around the facilitator forum that we're putting in place. Part of our strategic intent around that is to challenge what does the future look like, and how do we continue with what we've been able to do through RMPP in an open environment with the right support.
Just from what you mentioned, Brendan, I wonder if we could split that session like you've got it in the agenda as a one session. I wonder if there's like an early one and then a review of it again later on as people think about it a bit more.
Yeah, so just I totally agree there too, Julie. I click the other combination in terms of the structure of that, which I fed back into RMPP as well. As I think you're right, we need to open up with it, but we need to conclude with it, and all those other activities in between will help people formulate their thoughts further around it and actually set us forward.
Yeah.
And just so you know, we as a program, we're certainly not sitting on our hands and going, oh well, we're done and dusted shortly. It's actually our evaluation, and really looking forward to being able to share that with everyone. It makes sense to continue this approach.
We had a discussion about it in our little breakout before, and one of them said they don't see what the problem is. Their groups are all happy to carry on, but it's reverting back to consultant as the facilitator, back to the discussion group approach. So it'll be good to talk about the approach for facilitators who aren't like, a real subject matter expert consultant type person, and what the approach is. Could be.
Yeah, and Donna, you're asking about the same thing as well. And the few groups that we know that have had that discussion are, like Julia said, are kind of going, okay, well, what will everyone contribute? And Simon, that's kind of how you've started and run discussion groups before, and you kind of morphed that into action groups, and I imagine you're kind of maybe taking that back to how it was or something similar. Donna?
I just find I've brought it up with our group as it's something that's going to need to be considered coming forward, and it's a very blank, solemn canvas reply to the question. And I think it's quite a hard one for their current facilitator to actually facilitate, because it's actually, in essence, quite a bit of it is, do you want me to still be a facilitator? And you know, they may not feel comfortable having that conversation with me there. I was wondering if other groups have pulled in another facilitator for that discussion, or whether they've allowed the farmers to have the discussion without facilitator there, and manage the discussion themselves, or, you know, what other people have done, because I think I've just had no feedback from my guys, and maybe they don't want me to be there, so it's easier just to say nothing, and that's fine. Like, you know, it's their group, so they need to do what they're comfortable with. But, you know, I kind of like to know what they're, you know, where it's going to go for them. And yeah, we sort of, we'll get through our funds, and, you know, I think I've got no idea what they're feeling like they want to do, and whether it's just some more facilitation techniques that need to be used to extract that, but I just don't know whether it's going to be right if it's me trying to do that.
It's possibly a two-way thing too, though, in terms of like whether a facilitator like a group might want to carry on, but a facilitator's got the work that they want to get back to, or whatever. Like, I've got groups that just won't work because they're in the North Island. It's worked under the current funding model, but travel-wise, they should never fund me to be flying up and down to the North Island. So they need to find someone else if they want to carry on.
Yeah, Simon.
There he is.
Yeah, sorry, I've had Zoom meetings since 7. I haven't really had much time to do much else today, so looking a bit of a shock, and I haven't had a haircut for about 3 months. It's all over the place, so I'm almost embarrassed to show my face, to be fair. But just to help out Donna, just wonder, and it doesn't have to be another facilitator, maybe Donna, but have you got a chairperson in your group at all, or you have?
Yeah, we do. We've got we've got our lead farmer, and I'm pretty sure he'd be able to facilitate that conversation.
Yeah, to me, that's their role in a way. It's kind of because it is a really awkward conversation, but I mean, I think if you premise it by saying, hey, look, whatever the answer is, you know that this could finish here, you are prepared to carry it on if that was what the group required. There'd be some you know, new funding required, and it would depend on you guys having some real thinking about how much expert input you want, versus using your own group, using this forum is what you want, because the forum is cheaper because you don't have to pay bills to external people. But you have a time, and look, you know, in the past I've kind of charged for the groups, and it might end up being, you know, something like $600 a year per person, which isn't as much as what they would get under the RMPP funding model. But then you might have the conversation about expanding the group to 10 or 12 over time, or a little agenda, provide the agenda, have a discussion with your chairman about that, and then you step out and, you know, allow that conversation to happen, but make sure it's agendaed and the people are there and they can have that conversation. Maybe that would be how I'd do it anyway.
That's good stuff.
And can I just say something? Good. And something from the conversations me and Ben are having all the time with the PCFs, and this is stuff that we're trying to pick up on too. So we're sort of picking up on anything like this, we'd sort of give you the feedback directly, and if that's what they wanted, obviously. But I guess we're always trying to remind them that, are you seeing value in this? What does it look like for you in the future? Just questions like that we're constantly asking and hopefully getting answers. So you're not there by yourself. We are asking the farmers as well around the value of the facilitation.
Denise, sorry, I'm going to dash, but just wondering, this potentially could be a topic for one of these sessions, as Simon shared, and Donna's raised the question, and just to help people think of approaches might be useful. all of you on here. Basically, as I said earlier, you know, our evaluation data is coming to a point now where we're getting close to be able to release that information to support, which is proving to be recognised as a valuable platform for farmers to be supported. So being able to have those conversations and actually ask them the value, actually challenge them to think about their involvement and actually what they have done as part of it, and to think about those value pieces they've got from it, puts it back onto them, and things start to click potentially for them.
Or at least gives them other data to draw on, as Simon was saying, as part of their discussion, if that's something you potentially could be useful.
But I better dash, and I'll see you at 10, Denise.
Yeah, no worries. Cool, thank you.
See you guys.
Okay.
Anything else that people wanted to touch base on? Thanks, Sarah.
Just a last point on that. Maybe it's a good thing to have in your last activity being an AGM, like just a really formal way of finishing up and evaluating what you've got out of the last period of time, and then you know, have that, make sure that they know that it's about what we're going to do going forward as well, and having that plan for the next 6 or 8 months, and then but having that conversation about finances and preempting that too, maybe. Could be a good final activity in those plans as we get to that point.
That's good.
Yeah, I think it's critical for the survival of the approach, really, having those conversations, and if it's going to continue on, these conversations got to be had, and if we can support you in that, that's definitely what I think we should be doing.
I think there's quite a bit to think about in terms of the model that was designed, though, and lots of the ways of carrying these on are breaking the whole model that was designed. And does that matter? What effect does it have?
Yeah, and to some extent we're quite comfortable with that. It's more, how do we make sure that facilitators are still supported and things like that. So some of the structural stuff around it, what bits of those are useful for you guys, and what's helpful, what's not, what's needed, because that's the stuff we really need to get to MPI and Beef and Lamb and others to say, yeah, like groups will work out to a point what they want to do, but actually having a little bit of structure or a little bit of stuff in behind or support is actually quite helpful for facilitators and others. So yeah. So any feedback or thoughts on that is really useful. Hopefully that's a bit helpful, Donna. Yep.
I think,
cool.
like
Thanks,
the key findings out of it, small group learning and facilitated environments are the main things that we're focusing on. And yeah, if that survives, I think that's the sort of approach that we want to continue on. So.
Yeah.
But is that two of the things that are kind of going to be broken for them to carry on? The numbers have to increase, and the facilitator becomes the expert again?
Well, how much do they need to increase by? That'll be determining how much the group's willing to pay per year. Some groups are willing to pay $1,500. You know, that's what they've said about the value of their facilitator. So, yeah, obviously it varies between groups and what value they're getting out of it. But some of the feedback that we're getting is really positive in terms of how much value per year they think they're getting out of it. So,
just from my perspective, my groups are both younger denominated groups, and the dilemma that I am going to have, because I've touched base on this, is that their employers are often already part of a traditional discussion group, so they're paying a subscription of their own for a normal discussion group. So when these young guys are going, you know, in a position where they perhaps can't afford themselves to be paying a subscription to carry on, and if they go to their employers are saying, oh well, you can just come along to the traditional discussion group. So I've had that conversation with quite a few of the employers of these young guys, as well as themselves saying, oh well, I don't think we'll be able to afford to do that, and then but our boss has said he already belongs to a discussion group. So yeah, every facilitator's got their own little problems going on moving forward.
Such a good point. I reckon if we can get owners or farm owners to realise the value in professionally developing their farmers and getting better managers or whatever role they're playing within that farm, I think that's the message we would be sending them, because technically that your group is potentially making him a better farmer and making him more money. So I think that's where we need to weigh it up, and it's probably whether we have that conversation with the farm owners or you're having it, probably better come from you. But yeah, it's probably bringing them into the picture in some way, and whether they're part of the farm team for a session or whatever, set an agenda like Simon said, and have those tough conversations, I think.
Yeah,
it's a good
Yeah,
point.
I've got a couple of farms who bring 2 generations along, so they see both sides of it. Whether that would be helpful for them to do a testimonial for you or something like that.
that'd be good,
because they might be able to support the learning side of what they see that their younger ones learning being beneficial, but they've also done the learning and seen what they get out of it. They might just say, look, they get something completely different out of the same day and stuff. But if that was wanted, just let me know.
I mean, it's quite obvious to me that the discussions that we have in these groups, I don't think some of these guys would be that comfortable if their boss was sitting alongside them. So yeah, it's a real learning curve for these young guys, and then I think it's quite daunting for them to sort of be told, oh, you can now just come along to the discussion group, because I know that they're just going to clam up, and they're going to listen, but they're probably not going to interact as well as they do in an Action Network group.
I know there are groups down south where they have 2 groups specifically for that reason. So they have the farm owners have their own group, but then they have a specific group for all their staff, and they value the time, and it's huge for growing the staff. And I don't know why it would ever be a block. I guess it's so good for growing those people. It incentivizes them to be in that business because they know that they're being invested in. To me, it's a real, it's an easy answer, but it's hard to get that across to others as well.
Yeah, I just know yesterday I had a meeting with one of the groups, a Zoom meeting at lunchtime, and we just did a bit of a roundup of the whole group before we got into using our subject matter expert, and they were all, the stuff that was coming out of their mouths, they were just really interacting with each other. They were asking each other questions about the properties they were on and that kind of thing. And I automatically thought, knowing who some of their employers are, that if their employers were there, that wouldn't have happened. So it's kind of a catch-22. Yeah, it needs a lot of thought, I think. Yeah.
No, this is good, and I've noted down that maybe this is a good idea for let's do a Zoom meeting and brainstorm and share some ideas and thoughts, so that others' expertise can be brought into the conversation as well. So because there'll be other ideas as well out there. So let's do that. Yeah.
Okay, I've got to go. So thanks very much.
Same. Thanks all.
See ya.
Thanks, Simon.
Awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
Catch you later.
Thank you, Cole. Bye-bye. Thanks, team.
That was some awesome discussion there, and